Hello guys and welcome to my new video. Today I'm going to show you one of my uh, favorite opening and topic because maybe you already know about me that I'm a fianchetto player since my childhood. So I'm playing Sicilian Dragon, Banku Gambit, Benoni defense and stuff. So with black, basically 99% I develop my bishop to g7 and I really like this fianchetto things. But there is a big but here that if your playing style is similar to me or your opening choices is similar to me, then you probably already met the Maroczy Bind a few times, and I'm guess 99% of the players struggling with it, like me, like I did it before, until I haven't find a very aggressive and attacking setup with black that I would like to show you today. I will guide you through one of my game that I played. I'm going to show you the typical plans, the typical strategy with black, and as you can see, this repertoire is already done, and you can purchase it through my website if you would like to have the whole repertoire in a PGM fly. So basically, this is just a small teaser where I show you the basics of this setup with black. So knight f3, g6, and yes, okay, it's important to know that that you know that the Maroczy bind can be achieved with many move orders. So that's important to have something strong against it, because it can come out from Dragon, from Banku Gambit, from Benoni, and many other stuff, and with a 500,000 of move order. And and as much as I know that there are two setups, one that I'm going to show you today. This is the most sharpest and aggressive setup, and it's not too popular now, but absolutely sound. It's very important to know. And there is the other popular mainline, but that's usually very drawish, and it's not just drawish, but probably white has the chance to push these endgames for the win. So I get very frustrated by that, and but now these days I'm very happy to get into the Maroczy bind since I know this system. So this game happened in the title Tuesday. I was playing against FIDE Master. I was playing with black, e4, c5. So basically it came out from a dragon, knight f6, f3, d6, c4, bishop g7, knight c3, knight c6, bishop e3, castle, queen d2, and here we are. And the thing is that the system, what I recommend you and what I show you in this video is, since it's not too popular, that means most of the white players don't know how to play it properly. To be honest, I played with only one person, a super strong grandmaster, over 2600, who knew how to play this with white properly. But all of my other opponents try to continue the game in samples and like keep it simple. But against this setup, you cannot do that with white because it's just too sharp and too tricky. So yes, probably the most popular line and the main line is knight d4, bishop d4, bishop e6, followed by queen a5, rook c8. But after that, white is always going to have the opportunity to exchange the queens, and I was very frustrated by these endgames because somehow I felt that these endgames are holdable, but I do not have too much chance to win. So what I can suggest you is bishop d7 here, bishop e2, nothing surprising. And now here there is already a trick which I didn't apply in this game, but if white plays f3 before castling, there is a very interesting move, and it's knight h5, and I cover this line in my repertoire fully. And after castling, we have knight f4 move, and it's going to be very interesting. So basically, this line is full of life, not like the main line when black has to suffer. Here we have many possibilities. So the main line of my line is knight d4, bishop d4, and a5. So until here it's pretty easy to play, right? So it's nothing special. Now the plan is very easy. I would like to play a4 followed by queen a5, and after that I can blockade the whole queen side. So that's why white players play b3 to prevent a4. It wouldn't work now because of b4 probably. So now we play bishop c6. Until here, as you can see, it's super easy to play. So basically you can make the moves in few seconds. Castle and knight d7. So taking on d4, bishop c6 or a5, you can choose, then the other one, and then knight d7. And now white wants to keep the black bishops on the board with bishop e3 or bishop f2. Of course, he can chicken out with bishop g7, king g7, check, and king g8. But and yes, I have to agree that it's not going to be a very sharp game from here. But in the other hand, after exchanging the queens on b6, this endgame is totally different than in the mainline endgames, because here black has very good practical chances since we have a technically good bishop on c6. All of his pawns are on white squares, so this bishop will have targets, while at the same time he has a technically bad bishop because it's tucked behind his own pawn structure. And you know, after queen b6, exchanging the queens, and knight d5 is never a thing, because I can always exchange that for my bishop, for example, and these endgames gives a good practical chances for black. I think I have a pretty good static in this kind of endgames because I'm pretty sure that the knight is good enough here against the bishop, and especially because that e2 bishop is not too good. So yes, this is something that white does if he wants to go for the win. We cannot really escape from that. Sorry, if he wants to play for a draw. So we really cannot escape from that. But in the other hand, it's very different than the main line, because here at least we have a very good practical chances to play for the win. But of course, the more ambitious white players will prefer bishop e3 or bishop f2. Otherwise, by the way, if he leaves the bishop there, I can simply exchange, followed by queen b6. So it's going to be the same like what we saw before. So bishop e3, knight c5. We made 14 moves, and it's always the same. It doesn't really matter how white starts and what is his move order. We do this setup all the time. Rook b1. Rook b1 is precise. I think that some of you is surprised by rook b1 because many white players prefer rook c1. But the thing is that white has to play for knight d5, and you know, if he plays knight d5 in one time and I exchange the bishop on d5, then the d5 will be closed. So it's more precise for white to put the rooks to the c and to the b line, because now he gives some extra protection to the b3 pawn, and maybe one time he can prepare some a3, b4 advance. So it's better to put the rooks on the C and B line and not to the C and D line. But the good news for us that for us it doesn't really matter. He can put the rooks to the B and C, C and D, D and B. For me, for us, doesn't matter because we always do the same strategy. E6. You can start with bishop e5 if you prefer to start with that. For example, if he plays rook d1 instead, now e6, okay, e6 is still possible because the c3 is hanging back. But if you want to go be sure, you can start with bishop e5. But here, if you can choose between bishop e5 and e6, I prefer to play e6 because it's some baiting. You know, I want him to play rook d1 without hesitating. So it's more, you know, baits for white to play that rook d1 move, because if you start with bishop e5, maybe I don't know, probably he will still go there, but I think it's more simple here to make that move. Rook d5, bishop e5, and now this is the key move of our strategy and our setup. Now the e5 bishop is a beast. It controls the whole board. It controls everything from e5. Now he puts some pressure on the queen side, and then at the same time he puts pressure to the king side too. And the good thing, the best thing in that bishop, that white cannot dislodge this bishop. So f4 plan would be his idea to dislodge this e5, but whenever he plays f4, we can always take on c3, and after that the e4 is hanging. So white has never had the chance to play f4. And you know, even if he managed to leave the c3 square with the knight somehow, f4 is still impossible because the e4 is still hanging. So now he cannot really do anything against our e5 bishop. Maybe what he can do is some kind of bishop d4 or something, but first of all it loses the tempo and doesn't have too much, because in this position we can also play queen b6. If you want, I like this idea with queen b6, but if you prefer to play on the king side, you can play queen f6, queen e7 too. So all of these are very, very nice moves. But the beauty of these that you can choose where you want to play. One typical plan is something like queen b6, followed by queen b4, and one time we advance the pawn on a4. That's one idea. The other idea is queen f6 or queen e7, doesn't matter right now, and something like g5, king g8, rook g8, and attack on the king side. But maybe this is better if we put the queen on f6, probably make more sense. But if we put the queen on e7, we also have another option, and it's f5 plan, and open up the f5 for the rook, and after that we can double the f5. So we have many choices. We can play for this f5 attack. We can play with queen f6 and followed by g5, king h8, rook g8. Even in some cases, we can also should consider h5, h4, h3, and stuff like that. Or you can still play this normal queen b6 move. We have many choices. So back to here. This is our main position, and in my repertoire, which I said you can purchase for a few bucks, I cover all of white lines here. Of course, it's a very big repertoire with more than 1,000 moves, but there is a move here with white which is basically losing, but in the other hand, it's very natural. How natural is it? According to my database, many grandmasters play that move even in classical games. And that happened in my game too. It's a very natural move by white, but it's losing, and it's knight b5. White wants to put pressure on the d6, and probably they think that black's only option is to exchange on b5, which would favor for him, but unfortunately he has no luck today, because we do not have to take the b5, because we have a very strong continuation, and this queen h4. And now we have a checkmate threat on h3. Of course, h2, sorry. Of course, h3 doesn't change too much, because we can play queen g3, and after that it's going to be very dangerous for white. f4 is still not a thing, because e4 is hanging. What can he do? Only g3. And now, surprise, bishop g3 sacrifice, h g3 check, and now white has to decide where he goes. After king h1, of course we have at least a draw, but of course we are not going to play for a draw in this position, because we can still continue our attack with knight e4. Knight e4 is untouchable, because bishop e4 would come with a checkmate, so I think it's pretty clear. Queen c2 is an only move, and we can play knight f6 here, and it's a very quiet move. Now the f3 is hanging. If we can take on f3, then we will have a huge material advantage. If he managed to do something with the f3, then we will play knight g4, and everything will hanging. The h2 mate will hanging, the bishop will hanging, the f2 will hanging, so the game is basically over here. The attack will go through. So my opponent, like the other players too in the database, played king f1, but he cannot survive this. I think that white players had to be too optimistic here with trying to hide with the king, and you know, if you play f5 here, I'm not 100% sure, but I think e5 could save the day, or something like that, or he can exchange on c5 first and try to close the f file with an e5. But there is a bad news for white, that we don't start with f5, because we do not want to give him chances. We start with knight e4, sacrifice once again. So now he can do two things. He can accept this sacrifice to play queen d3, but queen d3 would lead to f5, so we protect the e4 indirectly, and after that black has a huge attack. We have, if I count well, we have 3 pawns against the bishop, so basically the material is even, but on the other hand he has a very, very bad king's position, and also he has no harmony in his pieces. After knight d4, for example, we could play e5, exchange, and I don't want to make you bored with these variations, but there are some kind of stuff which is going to be strong enough for black, but for me I think it's enough to see this position until here, because it has to be very, very bad for white. So my opponent took on e4. Of course we are not taking it back, we play f5 instead. And that's the point, that now another piece joins to the battle from f8, the rook, and now we would like to take on e4 with the pawn to open the f5. And my opponent played e5 here, which is a blunder, of course, because I could give a check, another check, and queen g2 checkmate. Checkmate in 24 moves with black in the Maroczy Bind. Can you imagine that? Because with this repertoire, it's not going to be very surprising anymore. It's going to happen many times. But I said e5 was a blunder, but to be honest, white's position is already totally lost, so maybe knight d4 is something more, that at least he doesn't get checkmated in 3 moves, but I can continue with taking on e4, bishop f3 is an only move, And also here some people played e5, which is, it seems very, very horrible for white. Or in the worst case, we can also take the f3, rook f8, and this is the best what can white get out from this. And now we have 7 pawns against 3, and he has an exchange. We have a huge material advantage. We have many pawns, and it's impossible to hold this position with white. So yeah, maybe it's better than getting checkmated in 3 moves, but not much better. So I hope that you like this idea. If you are curious about the whole repertoire, you can buy it through my website for a few bucks. And yes, if you are an attacking player, if you're a bold player, and I think you are, if you play fianchetto setups with black and you get into the Maroczy Gambit, then you will love it. I promise you will love it, because until here I hated to play against the Maroczy Bind, but now I'm pretty happy if my opponents play the Maroczy Bind, since I know this, because now we could become the hunter and not the prey anymore, and we can attack against the opponent's king, which is very surprising, I think, most of us in this opening. And as you can see, you can checkmate even FIDE Masters in 24 moves, because this line gives you the possibility for that. So I hope you like my teaser, and follow my channel for more content. Take care. Bye.